Mr. President, what about the Colombia Free Trade Agreement? It is understandable why the CEOs of multinational corporations would like this free trade agreement. After all, Colombia is one of the most anti-union countries on the planet. Since 1986, over 2,800 trade unionists have been assassinated in Colombia, more than the rest of the world combined. Mr. President, think about it for a moment. If we found out that 50 CEOs had been assassinated last year in Colombia instead of 50 trade union leaders, do you really think we would be on the verge of approving a free trade agreement with our country? Frankly, I don't.
They've actually shot workers who tried to organize unions. I'm sure a lot of conservatives would want to try to do that here. I wouldn't want to see that happen here, but I'm just saying. Okay, the vote went 66 for it, 33 against it, and one senator not voting at all, Coburn. So we're going to read the senators voting for it, and then we're going to read the 33 that voted against it. Bacchus of Montana, Bennett of Colorado, Bingham of New Mexico. Okay, now we're going to say Republican. Scott Brown of Massachusetts. Okay, back to the Democrats. Cantwell, Maria Cantwell, Washington State. Carper, Delaware. Ken Conrad, North Dakota. Feinstein, California. Seriously, Diane, go join the Republicans. Fucking bitch. Inouye of Hawaii. Johnson of South Dakota. My other senator, John Kerry of Massachusetts. You're making me so glad I voted for your primary challenger when you ran for re-election at O'Reilly. Mary Landrieu, the bitch of Louisiana. Joe Lieberman of Connecticut. Patrick Leahy of Vermont. Patty Murray of Washington State. Both Nelsons, Bill and Ben. Bill Nelson, Florida. Ben Nelson, Nebraska. Okay, now we're going to mention a Republican. Rand Paul voted for the Columbia. All three. Making fun of you Paul-tards there when I do that. Pryor of Arkansas. Shaheen of New Hampshire. Udall, Colorado. Warner of Virginia. Webb of Virginia. And Wyden of Oregon. Okay, we're going to go to the no's now. We got a lot of no's here, so 33. Okay, when I mention some of these no's, I'm going to mention some of the free trade agreements they voted for and previously. Okay, so no's. Akaka of Hawaii. Okay, so you vote for the Korean one, but you voted against the Colombian one and against the Panama one. What? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Same thing with you, Beckett. 2 out of 3. Voted for the Korean one, but against the other two. Oh, at least Blumenthal was against all 3. Boxer voted against 2 out of 3. Voted against the Colombian one. Sheriff Brown of Ohio voted against all 3. Thank you. Cardin of Maryland. So he only voted for the Panama one, but he voted against the other 2. Bob Casey Jr., Pennsylvania, voting against all 3. Thank you. Sue Collins, a Republican of Maine. She only voted for the Korean one and the Panama one, and now she's voting against the Colombian one. Gee, thanks a lot. Coons of Delaware voted for Panama and Korea, but now he's voting against the Colombian one. Dick Durbin of Illinois voted against Colombia, but he voted for Panama and Korea. Franken of Minnesota voted against Colombia, but voted for the Korean one. So he voted against 2 of them. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Gillibrand, again, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, of New York. Voted against the Columbia one. Kay Hagan voted against all 3. Thank you, North Carolina. Tom Harkin, Iowa, voted against all 3. Klobuchar of Minnesota. Okay, so you vote for the Panama one and the Korean one, but you're voting against the Colombian one. Cole of Wisconsin, voting for Panama and Korea, but voting against the Colombian one. Joe Lautenberg of New Jersey, voting for Korea and Panama, voting against the Colombian one. Levin of Michigan, voting for Korea and Panama, voting against the Colombian. Manson, West Virginia, voting against all 3. Claire McClaskill only voted for the Korean and the Panama, but now voting against the Colombian one. Robert Menendez of New Jersey. Okay, so you voted for Korea and Panama, but now you voted against Colombia. Yeah, Joe Merkley, I think it's Joe. Merkley of Oregon voted against all three. Thank you. Kluski of Maryland voted for the Korean one, but now voting against Panama and now Colombia. Reed of Rhode Island, all three. Thank you. Thank you to Harry Reid as well against all three from Nevada. Rockefeller, West Virginia, thank you, voting against all three. Big thank you to Bernie Sanders, voting against stand against all three, even though I know you didn't place a vote at all on the Korean one. I know you would have voted against it. Schumer of New York only voted for Panama and Korea, but now voting against the Colombian one. Snow of Maine, I'm saying Republican now, voted for the Panama one, voted against Korea and now Colombia. Stabenow, Michigan. Okay, so she voted against Panama and now Colombia. But she only voted for the Korean one. What, 2 out of 3 ain't bad? Is that it? Tester of Montana, staying against all three. Thank you. Udall of New Mexico. Okay, so you voted for the Korean one, but you voted against the other two. Panama and Colombia. And this leaves us with White House of Rhode Island, voting against all three. Thank you. So, I thank you to the senators that voted against all three. And for you senators who decide to be weeble wobbly, you know, fuck you on that. Your votes, I mean, I appreciate your votes against on some of the free trade agreements, but it would have been nice if you were consistent on all three. And to all the senators who voted for these free trade agreements, a big fuck you to all of you.